This is one of the biggest iron farms to ever be created, featuring an endless stream of dying golems and a massive decoration to go along with it, all in survival Minecraft. I started by creating an outline, which looked tiny in the gigantic perimeter I had just finished digging. Now this farm is mostly made up of obsidian, villagers, and pillagers, and because this farm is absolutely massive, I need over 168 pillagers, all without their crossbows. And the first step to tackling the pillager problem is finding a way to farm pillagers, with the easiest way of doing that being to use an outpost. And so I promptly decimated every last block of their nice cozy home and implemented a custom kiddie pool. But that's okay, because now we have a renewable pillager supply. Now, in order to break the crossbows that the pillagers have, they need to shoot their crossbows like a couple hundred times. And to prevent me from looking like a literal porcupine, I constructed a machine that will automatically break the pillagers' crossbows until all 180 pillagers are properly de-weaponized, which involves bringing a villager all the way from my base to the farm, because apparently pillagers don't like villagers all that much. And the best way I can think to transport this villager is with a boat. And while I move the villager, let me tell you about the 4 steps to this project. Alright, looks like we're gonna need a bridge here. After getting all the pillagers in place in the iron farm, I need to do the same with over 2,000 villagers. Don't mind me just busting a hole in the wall. I also need to flood the entire floor of the perimeter so that if I fall, I have a safe landing spot. Up he goes. The walls also need to be decorated with massive iron golem statues. I hope I don't fall. To top it all off, a collection system in the Nether, which is going to be used to store all of the drops I get from the farm. And perfect, safe and sound. So after over 30 hours of AFK time and extending the pillager silos so they can hold more, now we have to transport them to the farm. And I'm going to connect this rail line to another portal by the iron farm, while also building a holding cell on the other side of the portal to catch the pillagers when they come through, so that I can name tag each pillager and send him to the waiting area to later be transferred into the actual farm. Comment down below a name for a pillager and I'll name one whatever the most liked suggestion is. So I got to work building a whole bunch of little boxes for the pillagers to sit in while connecting a dirt rail line and sending them on their way. Excellent, this is a really good start. Now in the farm, each pillager sits in his own glass box, so when we eventually put the villagers around the pillagers, they'll scare the villagers, forcing an iron golem to spawn. Ah, villagers, one of the most peaceful mobs in Minecraft, and yet the single most frustrating AI I've ever seen. And with that being said, let's collect over 2,000 of them, all in individual little prison homes, all in their own homes. So I began building up a whole bunch of villager pods similar to the pillager pods we just made. I again also constructed dirt paths with rails on them to make the transport of the villagers extremely straightforward. But now I need to build a system that will breed me all of the villagers. I built a breeder and a holding cell, and now I just have to figure out how to get a villager all the way up here. But I think I've got an idea. There should be a village a little this ways, and if I borrow one of its members, come on, get in the boat, and I take him for a little expedition through the river, I reach my big hole. And all I need to do now is build a massive bridge out of dirt to be able to boat him along. Yeah, this is gonna take a while, but with the power of editing, I can just... Perfect, both villagers are in. But while these villagers do their thing, let's start working on building up the decoration for the perimeter. Starting with the floor, I want to completely cover it in water so that if anybody falls, they don't die. Looking at you, buddy. And in order to properly flood the entire perimeter, there needs to be a layer of solid blocks underneath the water for it to spread out on. Determining the best way to do this was to put a layer of concrete down above the bedrock. I loaded up with gray concrete and began placing. Yeah, I realized extremely quickly that placing 250,000 blocks manually might not be the best idea. So to fix that, I headed over to the other side of the perimeter and built up a contraption that will automatically build the floor for me. Now this shulker unloader will spit blocks into this water stream and transport them to our friend Floor right here. While he's placing, I gotta go to prom, so I'll come back when it's finished. I've never been happier to see 150 shulkers of gray concrete. And to flood the entire area, we are just going to use water mechanics to our advantage. By placing a row of ice on 2 adjacent sides and breaking it to create water sources, the water will just automatically start filling up the entire area for us. This is just so satisfying. And now with another step of the project completed, I can start working on building up some of the decorated walls. Because I don't know about you, but this just ain't it. And ever since I finished the absolute monstrosity of a quarry, I've got plenty of deep slate. So I decided to go pretty heavy on deep slate when designing the thing, and I need around 150,000. Yeah, this storage still looks ridiculous. Every time I craft an absurd amount of blocks, I'm just reminded that these mods are a lifesaver, because manually doing this would take absolute ages. And after smelting up the deep slate to make it cracked, because for some reason furnaces do that, I made a life supply of stone bricks, and opened a pack of jelly beans. However, that happiness was short-lived, as I realized I decided to include 30,000 Froglights when designing the farm. Yeah, I knew we didn't have a Froglight farm, yet here we are. So my evening turned from fun into building a death chamber for the poor magma cubes while spamming portals to create an endless supply of them. Just your average Tuesday. Because in order to obtain Froglights, you gotta chop magma cubes into tiny bits and have a frog chomp it down. The problem is that in order to handle the decently fast stream of magma cubes that will be farted out by this portal, I need around 200 frogs. You see the issue? We're floating in a sky above an ocean. I got straight to work building 3 breeding centers in 3 separate biomes in order to get all the different colors of frogs. Kidnapped some local inhabitants and fed them slime to make more frogs. In case you didn't know, frog colors are dependent on their environment, so breeding a frog in a desert versus in Antarctica is going to result in a very different frog. These frog variants will then produce different colored frog lights, so we need all 3 kinds in order to create the best possible farm, keeping it well-rounded. But before I get to that, if you're watching this video now, there's a good chance I'm still under 100,000 subscribers, and it's been a goal of mine for years to finally reach that milestone. We are only around 13,000 short, so subscribing now would allow you to say you were here before the 100k mark and make me happy. But enough rattling the tin can, let's get back to the frogs. So now comes the fun part, where I get to transport all 200 of these goobers into the really tall thing above the ocean. At first I tried using leads on all the frogs, but I soon realized that there is a better method. Just like many other animals, frogs have an item that they're attracted to. In their case, it happens to be slime balls. Yeah, you certainly don't see this every day. The introduction of slime balls made the transport process extremely straightforward, and before I knew it, I had all my frog friends in their new forever home. And this work certainly paid off. With the collection of the final material for the wall, I placed down the shulkers and began to build. Now I will say, wall building is extremely repetitive, and for anybody out there, I just recommend doing a simple pattern that can be built by a machine, unless you want to spend your entire week doing this. But oh wow, was this definitely worth it. With shaders, it just looks even better. The frog lights add a nice pop, so I definitely think getting those 200 frogs was worth it. And now, as much as I would like to say we have all the villagers we need, because as you remember, they were supposed to be breeding while I was building the walls, there were some complications that came up. You see, storing roughly 2,000 villagers in a single block with quick minecart access so that you can transport them into farm easily is easier said than done. So after a couple iterations of designs in the test world, I ended up slightly altering the end bit of the villager breeding system, but that's okay because I do have to build up the statues around the perimeter anyway, so hopefully the villagers will be all good by the time I finish with the statues. Maybe? I don't know, we'll see. Now, when I say I underestimated these statues, I mean it. I figured each one of these statues might take an hour, 2 at most, but no. These statues took the better part of 6 hours each. Please leave me some good movie recommendations because honestly, I'm just running out at this point. Anyway, these also look sick. But on an even better note, the villager storage seems to have worked. At least it appears that there are very many of them. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell because they're all in one block. Now, the villagers cause a lot of lag, which will become a slight issue later in the video, but to help with that right now, I can place weeping vines at the villagers' feet, then they will just cause less lag. I don't really know why. What the heck are all you guys doing here? Where'd you all come from? Now, originally when building this track system, I had put a whole bunch of activator rails to automatically dismount the villagers. The only problem is that when it turns to night, the villagers sleep in their beds and spawn outside of their cages, which defeats the whole purpose of everything I'm doing. So to fix this, I need to remove the previously placed activator rails so that the villagers start filling up from the end of the line. And then after the villagers are in their cages, I can destroy the temporary path, which leaves them stranded floating in the middle of nowhere. And then I can keep repeating that process until all the villagers on that height are in their cages. To automate this process a little bit, I set up a bot over by the minecart dispenser so that all I have to do is type in this command. That will let the bot know to flip the lever a couple times, and then the villagers will make their way over here. After securing them in the cage, I need to place an activator rail at the next empty cage and start the process all over again. As I'm doing this, let's play a little trivia. How long has this video taken me so far? Keep in mind, I don't spend hours on this every single day. For those of you that had guessed 64 days, good job. At the time of recording right now, we are about 64 days in, and while you were distracted with that, I finished the first row of villagers. I've got 5 more. I'm starting to realize that this many villagers is going to cause even more lag than I anticipated. I'm on the 3rd layer and the game's FPS is already starting to tank. So I figured that I should probably go finish the decoration on the farm and build the nether side before completing the villagers and finishing the farm so that I can actually do that in peace. My plan for the rest of the decoration is some vines that go up around the walls and make it seem a bit more overgrown to top it off. The vines are mostly made out of wool, concrete, moss, and mangrove leaves. It does not appear that we have 150,000 mangrove leaves, and getting 90 shulkers this way would just be way too boring. Now my friend Tree Chopper sent over 2 different designs for a leaf farm. One that's fairly simple, and another one that's less simple. It didn't take me long to make up my mind, and soon enough I had a fully built up leaf farm. And to finish the farm, I've just got to head back over to the swamp, pick up a couple of mangrove roots, and place them right along here because I don't know. Now, to mine mangrove leaves, you need shears. And one ordinary shear won't cut it because it will break before I get close to the amount of leaves I need. Which means for efficiency's sake, I need them all enchanted with unbreaking. And the massive villager trading hall at the end made it super easy to get all the books. I had originally thought that you needed silk touch in order to mine the leaves with shears, but it confused the heck out of me and I realized that you don't need silk touch. That's the point of shears. Awesome, so these all should do the job, and if I load them into the restocking system that I built and send the bot on his way, he's not destroying the vines. Turns out you need efficiency on the shears for it to insta-break vines. I did not know that, so I headed back to the end to trade with the villagers, got even more levels, and I was able to enchant all the shears with the efficiency on top of the unbreaking. Excellent, we are back in business. Now, while the mangrove farm gets going there are 2 other materials that the vines are made out of. Wool can be sourced from our wool farm over here, but unfortunately you can't dye already colored wool. That's just dumb. Instead, I've got to change it from the source. By dyeing the sheep green, we'll eventually get green dye out of these chests, which is also going to take a really long time, so let's just gather the last block of moss, because this one will be a bit more of a hands-on experience. Now, I've got this moss/bone meal farm right here, and if I turn on the farm, it starts creating a bunch of moss. Normally, it would flow into these composters to create bone meal, but by blocking them up, I can just chill here and collect a bunch of moss. And after a couple of minutes, I managed to get 3 full shulkers I needed to finish the deco. After taking a short break for finals, I now have a sufficient amount of blocks to start building. You know the drill by now. Seriously though, I wasn't kidding about movie recommendations. Please help a guy out. Oh, this looks so good. Oh, what the heck happened here? Okay, that's fixed. Yeah, to say the least, these vines were a pain because it was basically repeating the same thing over and over again. But now with all the big decoration done in the overworld, we can move our focus back to the Nether. Because before finishing the villagers, I also want to do the storage system that collects all the iron when the iron golems die, and it's gonna be somewhere like right here. I should find out the exact location. Right here is gonna be the storage system, and the materials, I've got them all here except one. 28 cakes. Why the heck do we need 28 cakes? I don't know. Let's go figure that out though. Alright, cakes. How do we make them? Wheat, sugar, egg, and milk. Now, I believe we are gonna be all set on the eggs, sugar, and wheat. But we don't have buckets of milk lying around. Let's go hunt down some friends. Why are there no cows? Aha! Found one. You, sir, are gonna be my new friend. We're gonna call you Jerry. Jerry, get in the hole. Come on now. Yeah, boy. Just bringing back bad memories of doing all those frogs earlier. Jerry. Are you good? Can't get Jerry to the hole? Bring the hole to Jerry. There we are. A whole bunch of milk. And thank you for your service. I'll miss Jerry. Never mind that though, we got our cakes. And while I build this, if any of you guys are interested in supporting what I do, recently I've launched memberships for this channel, so for as little as 99 cents a month, you guys can get cool perks while supporting me at the same time. No pressure though, just thought I'd mention it, and let's finish up this project. Well, this is probably one of the weirder looking storage systems I've built, but you don't really care about that, so let's get on to the other stuff, meaning the actual farm, because it's high time I finished it. Well, there's nothing like the present. Ah, this is nice to see. This, on the other hand, isn't. Yep, let me just take care of that real quick. And now comes the part where I have to light all these portals. So I'm gonna need a couple flint and steels because there are a lot of portals here. 16 of these bad boys should do the trick. Yeah, at this rate, I'm gonna need a lot more than 16. With all the portals now in place, we should be ready to run this thing. The first step is to place a bot in the center of the farm, like so, and then these should link up to the nether side. Perfect. But after I turned on the farm with my alt account, that's a lot of golems, but why are they all standing there? So naturally, I called in some reinforcements.
The reason for that is because the mobs don't naturally want to come out, so what you'd have to do is...
And by using this little handy-dandy machine here, I'm able to slice portals like so. Well, this thing definitely produces iron. Got a whole bunch of our good friends burning right here. Now the question is, if I AFK this for 24 hours, how much would I get? And after about 24 hours of AFK, we've got tons of iron just chilling in the storage system. After doing some calculations, I think about 6.5 to 7 million iron is in the chests, which roughly equates to about 300k an hour. Now that's pretty fast. Now what on earth am I gonna do next?